Lord Jesus Christ according to John.
Glory to you, Lord Christ.
Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said to him, "We will go with you." They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but his disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, you have no fish, have you?" They answered him, "No." He said to them, "Cast the net to the right side of the boat, and you will find some." So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on some clothes, for he was naked, and jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far off from the land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there, with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish that you have just caught." So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." Now none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the 3rd time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the 3rd time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter felt hurt because he had said to him the 3rd time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Very truly, I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt and to go wherever you wished. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go." He said this to indicate the kind of death by which he would glorify God. After this, he said to him, "Follow me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please be seated. There's so much in this story of the resurrected Jesus and a group of his disciples. There's the news that the disciples finally came out of that locked room. The demonstration that Peter is kind of a goofball who fishes naked and swims with his clothes on. The fact that Jesus is good at grilling out. The fact that we don't use fish in the Eucharist anymore. That conversation between Jesus and Peter around the charcoal fire, and that's a big one. Peter has stood around a charcoal fire one time before, and it was the time that he denied Jesus 3 times. Now Jesus gives him the opportunity to walk back those denials one by one so that they go up in smoke. The response of Jesus that if you love him, you are to feed his sheep, to provide the kind of abundance to people who are in need that Jesus provided in his life. The fact that Jesus can still provide life-giving abundance after his death. These are all worthy subjects of discussion and exposition. But today, I'd like to focus on the fishing trip. The disciples have come out of their locked room, no longer afraid for their lives, thanks to Jesus coming to them last week and bidding them peace. Or as Dale put it in his sermon last week, wishing them the wholeness of God. And what do they do when they come out of their isolation and confusion? They go back to doing what they did before. They were fishermen, so they go fishing, because that's what fishermen do, right? And they fish in the same way that they have fished before, all night, off one side of the boat. And sadly, they didn't catch anything. And then Jesus, incognito, comes walking along the shore and calls out to them, you guys aren't having any luck, are you? How about casting your nets on the other side of the boat this morning? That's where the fish are. And of course, the disciples surely do what all of us church people do. We immediately respond, but this is the way we've always done it. Even when the old way doesn't work anymore. Still, they humor him. Okay, random guy, if you say so, we'll try that new way, they say, perhaps with gritted teeth or false smiles. And you can bet that they are saying under their breaths as they haul out those nets again, we don't think this will work. We haven't done it this way before. We know what we are doing and what has worked all this time. We are fishermen. And who is this new person coming to tell us how to do things? And then they haul in so many fish that they can't even get them all onto the boat. That random guy on the beach was right. They did a new thing and came up with a generous, abundant, life-giving yield. The stories of Jesus appearing to his disciples after God had raised him from the dead are not just stories about Jesus. They're also stories about the future of the faith community that would become the church. The stories address how the community will experience Jesus and how they should live out their faith and carry Jesus' work forward. The stories feature abundance, forgiveness, reminders of teaching about ministry and ministering in love to others, and also to provide abundance. In fact, these stories tell us that the church is about the traditions that Jesus already showed and honored in his life, long-standing traditions of his own upbringing, loving God, loving neighbor, receiving abundance and providing it to others, the traditional traditions, if you will. But they also show that these traditions now need to be translated into new ways for a new age. In today's story, Jesus affirms that fishing is still important, but how you fish sometimes needs to change. Sometimes it's time to let the old ways go and try on a new way. And this is hard for the church. We remember and value our traditions and our traditional ways and how they both shaped us and fit into our worldviews and the culture around us. But we can't change. We have changed. At one time, faith stories were circulated orally, and then they were written down. But many people could not read. And then they were able to be read in church, and then they were able to be read at home in your own language. And then they were performed in plays and made into movies. And the gospel was still the gospel, but it was told in new ways to reach new people as the world changed. And the world is still changing. And it will continue to change. And the good news is still the good news, but we have to find new ways of living it out, of telling it, of sharing it, new ways of both receiving and providing abundance that connect with the people who are living in new ways. In this new world, people text instead of calling, don't carry cash, listen to podcasts and books through earbuds, get news on video, and have access to the whole world 24/7 via the internet. Just to name a very few new ways of the new world. Money and stories and news are still important, but people access and use them in different ways. So, the fish are still out there, but they may be on the other side of the boat. And when we are stuck in the why can't we just go back and do things the way we always did mode, we always have done it that way, which some people call the 7 last words of the church. And when our response to the new world is that it is just wrong or dumb, and people ought not to have the values that they have, because it's not really very attractive to denigrate the people that we want to be part of us, we are not proclaiming the good news, and we are not providing abundance anymore. We're just stuck. So let us heed Jesus today. Be open to change. Think different. Try something new. Welcome the new world and grow with it.